So students, let us start the discussion on 3rd February 2016 newspaper. The first article is related to Jammu and Kashmir. Wazahat Habibullah, he was the Chief Information Commissioner previously. Now, what he talks about the Kashmir and Kashmiriyat. The Kashmiriyat is described as the composite culture of the Kashmir, where the Sufi-centered Kashmiri culture has lived along with the Kashmiri Pandits. Now, the author recognizes the two religious trends. In the early days of independence, the inclusivist Sufism was dominated in Kashmir Valley. Today, the exclusivist radical Islam is taking the central stage, and it is seen with regard to the inroads of Al-Qaeda, Islamic State, etc. in the Kashmir Valley. And the growing dissatisfaction of the youth with the government and corruption in the government can be said as the major reasons. And on the other hand, bringing the Kashmiri Pandits back to the valley, the government is taking it as pure governmental project without involving the citizens. And also the citizens, without providing for public reassurance to the Kashmiri Pandits, their misgivings cannot be easily taken away. And on the other hand, economic opportunities. The central government packages are the major economic opportunities to the Kashmiri youth. So in this context, the FDI flows, the development of manufacturing sector, startups, smart villages, everything are also necessary for the Kashmiri youth. So in this case, what the author talks about is the village-centric, the trade huts or village-centric economic activity that is centered around information technology, the timber business and tourism shall be vital for the economic rejuvenation of the Kashmiri Valley. And on the other hand, the Armed Forces Special Powers Act and the laws like Public Safety Act are highly misused and are leading to the human rights violations. So in this context, it is increasing the alienation of the people further. So providing for proper guidelines and reducing this misuse can increase the integration of the people with the mainstream India. And coming to the next, section 377, the Supreme Court of India has referred the matter of section 377 through the constitutional bench. So in this case, so let us see certain opinions which have been expressed. So, the denial of right to privacy and human dignity can lead to the gross miscarriage of justice. And next is, a person's sexual behavior and a sexual choice is privatest of his rights and it is very precious for every individual. And section 377 and misuse of this, it has led to the violation of the vital rights of the LGBTs. So in this context, the Supreme Court judgment in Kaushal case, it has led, or it can be described as a retrogressive phenomenon. So, across the world, if you see, United States Supreme Court also has recognized the gay marriages and due process for them. So, as the world is moving towards more liberal society, India's prejudices cannot determine the judiciary or cannot dictate the judicial rulings, and it is considered as a positive step, referring this to the larger constitutional bench. And coming to the Zika virus. Now, the Zika virus, it is very widespread with regard to the South America and the Central America. Now, what it causes, the microcephaly, it means the small head, and Guillain-Barré syndrome are the major diseases caused by it. Now, the major challenge is it is highly asymptomatic, and clinical diagnosis is not possible, only laboratory investigation can detect it. So, in this context, there is no vaccine or treatment for the virus. So, it is caused by a mosquito bite, that is Aedes aegypti, which also spreads dengue and chikungunya. So in this context, this mosquito is very widespread in India. So the fears of Zika spreading into India are very high. So the Center for Virology in Pune and also National NCDC, National Center for Disease Control, are made as the centers for the recognition of this diagnosis of this disease. And finally, mosquito prevention is the ultimate solution for this. So the WHO also made it as a disease of global concern. So India has to be very much cautious about this. And coming to MGNREGA, It is after 10 years of implementation. You can see that there is no parallel program across the world. Now, till 2011, from 2006 when the program was launched, there is a steady increase in the number of job seekers. Then after, it has been slowly declining. The major reason for this is the government's delay in payment of the so-called money which has to be paid to the workers. So what is the reason? Now if you see, MGNREGA is a demand-based program. As the demand increases, the fund flow has to increase. Now the center is delaying the transfer of the funds to the states under MGNREGA. So in this context, it is recommended that MGNREGA kind of program shall have flexible funds available to them. So the Congress has criticized the present-day government for non-transfer of the funds to the states and crippling of this particular program. And coming to the budget and proposal to the budget, so one is private sector investment has to increase. The second is public sector investment has to increase in the infrastructure, etc. as a counter-cyclical measure. You know that all the BRICS countries other than India are going through a downward trend. So in this case, public investment can be a booster, but however, it shall not be at the compromise of the fiscal policy. So the fiscal policy need to be consolidated in the medium term, and it has to be achieved through the reduction in non-merit subsidies and increase in disinvestment. And finally, agricultural investment also need to be increased, and agricultural productivity and risk mitigation shall be the priorities. So on the other hand, budget also has to work for the promotion of the welfare measures and social sector spending need to be increased. The programs such as MGNREGA need to be taken forward. Coming to the revamping of China's military command structure. Now it is divided into 5 commands, that is Eastern, Western, Northern, Central and Southern and Central command structures. All these will be governed by Central Military Commission. Now this revamp is very critical because of integration of the different forces and quick mobilization of the forces as and when required. As Obama's Asia pivot policy has led to the diversion of the most of the United States forces to the Asia Pacific, the China is gearing up to the challenge. As of now, if you see, the difference between China and United States is too high with regard to their military capabilities. The Rafale deal. So the French are assuring that the terms of Rafale deal and also the cost of the Rafale aircraft will be much lesser than anticipated. And you know that even after 9 months of intergovernmental agreement to buy the 36 Rafale by a fly-away in condition, it did not move forward. In this context, it is feared that as like My-3 missile partnership between India and France, it will also be shelved. But however, recent Franco-Hollande visit to India has revitalized this agreement further, and also it has been made or synchronized with the India's Make in India objectives. So added to that, the Jaitapur nuclear plant, as India has signed the convention on supplementary compensation, it also is expected to move forward further. And finally, India and French, they have got a deeper relationship. So as Mumbai and Ahmedabad express rail route is given to Japan, similarly, Delhi and Chandigarh express route has been awarded to the France. Now government sets up the tax policy council. The finance minister will be the head of this, and this tax policy council is expected to bring in greater coordination of the tax policy and also integration of the different tax systems and revigoration of expert knowledge towards reforming of the tax process in the country. India-Brunei discusses the South China Sea dispute. India wants to maintain security of its energy flows. In this context, India signed a bilateral defense cooperation agreement with Brunei, and Indian military sources, what they say is the signature with the Brunei is very much essential to protect the Muara port, which is the major energy importing and exporting port from Bahrain. These are the important articles for today, and thank you very much.